Welfare cheats chased by the government. Dodgy bankers get the whip. Sydney bushfire breakdown. Russia and Syria deny access to the UN to inspect bombed chemical sites. This is what's going on. Alright, first cab off the rank is welfare cheats. Almost 170,000 Australians with welfare debts racked up through false claims are being warned to sign repayment plans or cop interest charges. The federal government is pursuing the former welfare recipients in an effort to recoup more than $900 million. For example, one Queensland resident pocketed $800,000 by lodging fraudulent claims for children which he did not have or they did not have, and an undeclared business income. The rorter, who earns an income and is not entitled to the welfare, has coughed up a one-off payment of $3,000 to repay, but is refusing to negotiate any further arrangements to clear the debt. Another person incurred $400,000 in debt over 10 years by claiming unemployment benefits under false identities. So, Human Services Minister Michael Keenan said on Friday, "For those who refuse to take action, interest charges are only the beginning. My department will also be looking into measures such as garnishing wages and tax refunds, also referring matters to an external collect agents." They're debt collectors, basically. People have been given 28 days to commit to a repayment plan or will be whacked with an interest of 8.77%. As none are currently receiving welfare, the government believes that most now are working and have the means to start paying back what they owe. As they should. This is there for people which are in need. They're rorting the government. You have to expect that there will be certain people that will run down this avenue of rorting the system. They have to be found and they have to be prosecuted at some sort of level to pay back their debt. Now, on the same topic of Centrelink fraud, Labor Human Services spokeswoman Linda Burning said the government blitz would force people to go searching for payslips dating back 15 years. This may be hard because obviously they're not going to be running down the proper means. She said those who did the wrong thing should be penalised, as we all agree, but the government was hell-bent on demonising vulnerable Australians who rely on social security, which is Centrelink. No, not at all. They're not going to demonise vulnerable Australians. They're demonising people which cheat the system. This government isn't interested in finding out people who actually owe debt. They're interested in debt recovery as a means of revenue raising. Well, as they should. These people are breaking the law. They're cheating. They're fraudsters. She also stated that this government is interested in debt recovery as a means of making claiming income support a scary and difficult process in the hope that Australians just give up. That is completely wrong. The coalition government's crackdown on welfare fraud has backfired in the past with Centrelink debt programs resulting in people wrongly persecuted for social security payments. Now, at the end of the day, do you not persecute anyone? Surely these people which were wrongly pursued were found to be law-abiding. But to state that you're not going to do it at all, like this is a $900 million bill. This has to be sought back. This is taxpayer money and it's not going to the right people. Now, bankers get a whipping. Cabinet Minister Christopher Pyne says that the Banking Royal Commission has unearthed very disturbing evidence of misconduct. We all knew that was going on. But defended his government's reluctance to launch the inquiry. Just launch it. Do it. Why not? Mr. Pyne said the government has already taken action to pursue dodgy behaviour by the banks. Obviously not enough if this is disturbing now. We have taken the necessary actions, taking tough action, and will continue to do so. We want to stand up for the consumers and small businesses. This is what Christopher Pyne said to Nine Network on Friday. We are not interested in standing up for bad practices, as you shouldn't. Well, I stated that, as you shouldn't. Financial Services Minister Kelly O'Dwyer on Friday revealed significantly higher penalties for companies and individuals who break the law. Dodgy bankers and insurers could get a decade in jail and millions of dollars in fines, with big companies potentially fined 10% of their annual turnover. Yes, this is a great call. Treasurer Scott Morrison this week warned the despicable behaviour carries jail sentences under federal law. These are poor and reckless practices. Also, knowingly manipulating business practices. Hit them hard and they will stop. Or they will possibly find loopholes in between, but we have to hit them hard. And maybe it'll sink through that we cannot do business this way at all. So also, Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull said working on toughening the penalties had been going on for some time, and the government was getting on with the job, as Prime Ministers usually always say. Getting on with the financial reform. We've strengthened ASICs, we've introduced stronger financial regulation to protect consumers, as they should. The banks need to be hit hard. If they're knowingly manipulating practices or being reckless, they need to be punished. And this is a good thing, guys, really good. Alright guys, let's talk about the Sydney bushfires. Close to 900 homes were saved during a huge bushfire southwest of Sydney that might have been deliberately lit. This is terrible. As police continue the investigation for the cause of the fire on Thursday, New South Wales Rural Fire Service Building Impact Assessment Team, that's a nice acronym, completed a survey of impacted suburbs near the Holsworthy military range. Firefighters and residents saved 888 homes and 6 facilities across the weekend and early this week. 5 properties were damaged, including one by wind. However, only one cubby house was destroyed. That's a little bit of good coming out of this bad story. It was pretty amazing, the effort, for a fire that burnt just a little more than 3,800 hectares. That's a lot. New South Wales police have questioned and cleared 4 men aged between 18 and 21 who appeared on Snapchat video laughing near flames. The footage was forwarded to the Bankstown officers on Tuesday morning, and on Wednesday the men spoke to police about the video. They were released without being charged and were disregarded from any further investigation. So they didn't do it. I'm glad that they took them in, didn't interview, found out that they weren't the culprits. It is a little bit disgusting that there possibly were culprits to this, and I hope they investigate a little bit more. They state here that investigations are continuing into the blaze, which started at Casuala on Saturday afternoon and is subject of an investigation by Strikeforce Carpi. Firefighters finally got the upper hand on Tuesday night, declaring it under control more than 4 days after it broke out. Mr. Allen said smoke may continue to linger around Sydney, although the fire is contained and within containment lines, and there will be some smouldering, he said. It will be monitored and patrolled where needed over the coming days. The only thing I've got to state to this, if you start a fire on purpose, that is attempted murder. You're an idiot if you do it. If you get caught for it, I believe the book should be thrown at you for this, because it's potentially attempting to kill people. Destroying property, for what reason? I'd like to look at the psyche of these people to see what pushes them to do such a heinous act. So, last one, the Russian Syrian cleanup. The United States says that it has credible information that Russia and Syria are trying to sanitize the site of a suspected chemical weapons attack in Syria, while denying access to the area by international inspectors. This comes from the State Department. State Department spokeswoman Heather Nauert said that the team of inspectors from OPCW had not been given access to the site of the alleged attack in the town of Duma on April 7th. We have credible information that indicates that Russian officials are working with the Syrian regime to deny and delay these inspectors from gaining access to Duma. Russian officials have worked with the Syrian regime, we believe, to sanitize the locations of the suspected attacks and remove incriminating evidence of chemical weapons use. Also, While repeating that Syria was responsible for the attacks, she also said the United States had credible information that people on the ground have been pressured by Russian and Syrians to try and change their stories. Western countries, say sources, of people were gassed to death in the area. Russia and its allies deny that. The UN team came under fire in Syria on Wednesday while doing reconnaissance for inspectors to visit the sites of the suspected attack. The United States, Britain, France fired missiles in Syria targets on Saturday in retaliation for this suspected chemical use. Suspected. This is the issue we got here. She also said that the United States was worried that the evidence would be deteriorated the longer the inspectors were delayed. That is of great concern to us. Well, at the end of the day, guys, chemical attacks are just not good whatsoever. So I'm glad that force is being used to show the world that we will not tolerate this at all. When it comes to the suspected use, this has to go through its proper avenues to be found true or false. But we're putting out a good sign that chemical weapons should not be used in war, any sort of warfare. It doesn't matter if they're civilian or military, it is no-go. It doesn't happen, we don't do it. So guys, I want to try and give you a weekly update and highlights of the news going around in the world and in Australia. So if you do enjoy this video, please put a like, put a comment, or if you want to keep on seeing them every week, please subscribe. Thank you. This is what's going on.